While I was living in Sydney, my grandfather got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. That week, you could say, was quite traumatic because we actually lost 2 family members in the 1 week. I lost my uncle and my grandfather in the same week. I actually Googled on Gumtree, salons for sale. That same week, we bought a house without looking at it. I'm moving back in with my parents while I'm renovating the house and then taking on clients, but all at the same time. So I feel like I can't do anything slow. When I fell pregnant, I actually suffered hyperemesis gravitarum. So I would physically vomit about 11 times a day.
Whoa.
I was over clients, under clients. I would run to the bathroom. Like, you think owning a business hurts your head? Wait, like having a baby that gives you broken sleep and like, oh my God, yeah, it's crazy. Because I am being that crazy business owner / mum that I have been like losing my shit a little bit lately. And I'm just like, parenting is really difficult, having a business is really difficult, but you know, like, you are rewarded by the love that you have for your child. I feel like if you stay still and you're stagnant, there's no growth because business is always moving, trends are always moving. Yeah, most of the time I don't even think about it. I just do it and then think about the consequences after, where I'll be like, nah, I want this done. If I want it, I wanted it yesterday. So I've got to do it right now. So you can sort of, you know, when you go through trauma, you really reflect on your life and you're like, okay, what am I doing? What can I do something, you know, what can I do different? And what can I do to help people? You know, we are a small business and I want future for the business. So what do I have to do to keep this going so I don't have to close my doors? I sort of look, especially say with this pandemic and like the COVID over our head, I sort of think about like $1 is $1 at the end of the day. Self-care at the moment is like what I want to aim for myself, like sharing your knowledge or your passion. Clients don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Sorry. That's staying in, by the way.
Oh, we live?
Yeah.
Oh.
All right, welcome guys. Welcome to the Success Minded podcast. Today I have a very special guest, my personal hairdresser for the last time anyway.
Yeah.
So if you don't like my hair, you know who to blame. So my guest today is Rose Hoffman. Rose Hoffman is the owner of Wild Rose Hair on Beaufort Street in Inglewood. And she's also a new mother. How old's your child now?
He'll be 1 next week.
1, wow, what an age. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I feel really privileged.
Well, yeah, thanks for coming. So I guess to get it started, how did you get into hairdressing?
Yeah, so hairdressing actually runs in the family for me. My grandfather was a barber for over 60 years.
Oh, wow.
And it actually runs like from my grandfather through to my auntie, through to my cousin, and myself. So
wow.
Yeah, there's actually 3 generations of hairdressing within my family.
And did they all have their own business?
So my grandfather has had like a barbershop before, but he, I think, more enjoyed just sort of like working for somebody else. My auntie has owned her own salon before. Currently, she's just working for somebody else. And my cousin's just working from home because she's got 2 kids of her own.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And have you lent on those guys for, like sort of like in a way like mentoring or?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
So like throughout the years, I've been hairdressing for nearly 16 years now, and
wow.
Still like my auntie and I, even my cousins, like we do call each other almost like weekly to fortnightly just to be like, hey, what are you doing? Or this is what I want to achieve. Even though they might have the support in their own salons, it's just really nice, going to like a family member. So it's really nice. So I actually started the business after my grandfather passed away, and why I do the business the way I do, the choices that I make, is actually reflecting my grandfather.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So when you're taking him in mind of your decisions,
Yes.
what is it about him that you look to him like?
Yeah. So how it sort of, well, I'll sort of backtrack and then come back to that if that's all right. So I was actually in Sydney for 2 years, and while I was living in Sydney, my grandfather got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and so it was sort of like a slow burn, you could say. And I actually made it back to Perth in his last 12 hours, and I got to see him and say goodbye. And just with him being in the industry for so long, breathing in the toxins, like, you know, you sort of think we're around a lot of chemicals. So I was just sort of like, you know, with what, you know, everything with him in his life, I wanted to make him proud. So when I sort of think of him, he's sort of like a bit of a guardian angel, because I never really thought I would have my own business. But when he passed away, living in Sydney, I wanted to come back to Perth, but I wanted a purpose. And that was sort of my purpose.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I know, it's just like, it gets really deep and heavy, doesn't it? But no, like, I think, you know, something that we could bond on as a family, and we're all very passionate hairdressers, to have him not here, I wanted to do something to make the family proud, to make him proud, and to come back, you know, from, say, Sydney, where I learnt and expanded in hairdressing, to then come and open my own place and be like, oh, the choices that I'm making, hopefully for my future and my family's future, just sort of, you never know, like, you know, cancer's always, everyone knows someone that has battled cancer, and you just sort of like, those little things that we can help, why not? Yeah.
And do you think that that plays a presence in your business being so vibrant?
I think so. I mean, I'm a very vibrant person personally myself. Like, I don't really look at life very seriously. I can be a bit airhead, bubbly. I'm a bit more like rainbows and unicorns rather than black and white, which is what I'm wearing right now. But yeah, I think like when you sort of take that, and even my staff, you know, you really attract the clientele, the team that you put out there. We're all very sort of like-minded, or even family people, you know. So I think like when you come to the salon, we do literally talk to other people in the salon as if you're just having like a cup of coffee with your friend.
Yeah.
It's not really sort of like, oh, I'm just here to cut your hair today, let's talk about the weather. It's a bit more like, welcome to my home.
Yeah, I have noticed that.
That's sort of how like I feel when I'm at the salon. Yeah.
So to go back to the very beginning, when did you first start cutting hair?
My own? No.
At 3?
So I actually started my hairdressing apprenticeship at 14.
Wow.
So like honestly, I left school, I completed year 10, but pretty much halfway through year 10, I was already in a salon, like on school holidays, you know, being that Saturday girl, sweeping hair, drowning clients because I was learning how to like use the hose. So and that was with my auntie. My auntie definitely mentored me from a very young age in learning the hairdressing ways. Otherwise, before that, you know, I used to get a pair of scissors, cut my own fringe. I've always wanted to be a hairdresser for, like, honestly, probably, I would say the age of 7. I wanted to be a fairy, and fairy and glitter is all I wanted to be. And then from there, I was like, hairdresser, and then that was it. Like, there was nothing else. So I was like, hairdresser all the way. And
that's
there's
not many people that there's not many people that know at such a young age and then stick to it.
Yeah. And I thought there was a time after my apprenticeship, I was like, oh, I want to get out of it, and still getting. I was like, oh, I'll go and do like a Kentucky. You know, I can be the Kentucky person, and or work on a cruise ship, but I'll still do hair on a cruise ship. And I'm like, no, so it's just sort of, hairdressing's always called me in one way or another.
And at what point did you know that you wanted to go into business? Was that when...
You know what? Pretty much in Sydney. Yeah, I had no, I'm very much day by day. I don't really think too far in the future, where my husband really thinks he's like a 5-year, 10-year. He really is about the bigger picture, and he sort of has always guided me to have my own business. And I would have to say when Nono passed away, that week, you could say it was quite traumatic, because we actually lost 2 family members in the 1 week. I lost my uncle and my grandfather in the same week. So you can sort of, when you go through trauma, you really reflect on your life, and you're like, okay, what am I doing? What can I do something, what can I do different? And what can I do to help people? And that sort of, Bryce was like, open your own salon. And so I was like, okay.
So is your husband, it is husband, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
So is your husband in business also?
He is my business partner.
Right.
Yeah, so he's a civil engineer. So he also has a full-time job. But you could definitely say, I'm going to say the brains and the beauty, I could not do business without him. But at the same time, I really know how to twist his arm and be like, I know hair, and this is what I'm going to do. So as for he is my husband and in business, I sort of feel it's definitely easier to have a business partner that, you can dispute without having a fallout. But so he helps with all the behind the scenes payroll and things like that.
So you feel like it works because he's got different strengths to you?
Yeah, I know how to spend the money. He helps me pull me back, and he's like, you're spending too much this month. So he's sort of, he helps with that balance, I reckon.
And is he, like you said, he's looking into the future, the 2 to 5 year plans?
Oh man, I'm happy with one salon really good, let me just get one salon right. And he's like, if we want to retire at 60, we have to have 5 salons. So, he's really, he's all about building a future to have the comfort. That's sort of, he's a numbers man. So he knows that, where I'm like, okay, well, how about we live our life right now and enjoy it in the moment.
So I guess this would lead to, towards the time where you're getting pregnant, but because your husband is that way minded, has he set up or tried to help, or maybe this is your end, set up systems within your salon? So for example, you've got apprentices on board?
Yes, yeah.
So you would have certain things for them to do throughout the day.
Yeah.
Maybe when they first clock in, they've got to, do this task, and then do that, and then do that.
That's definitely both of us, and even the manager. So Bryce will be like, I really want to see this from the girls. And then I'll say, put something in action. How do we achieve that? And then the manager will then achieve it. So it's sort of like a partnership between not just one person, everybody.
So you said you've got a manager. What would you say your role is within the business?
Oh, at the moment, honestly, I come there, have a picnic. I go to work, I go to the salon, and I would actually say I go to the salon not to work. I go there to socialise at the moment, because having a little one at home, sometimes you just need to go there, and I talk so much to my clients, and half the time it's literally about William. So I go there, make sure, all the stock's good, all the staff are happy. I pay the girls on time, and then, if there's no red flags, make sure the apprentices are doing their, staying on track with their training. It's just sort of keeping everything in line. And then sometimes I'll give, say, the manager to be like, this is my expectation. I want the girls to be doing that in 3 months' time, make it happen. That's just sort of the way, it sort of flows. So it's not necessarily falling on one person's shoulder. It's sort of okay, share the load across.
So, because I do know your manager, she's come out here a few times, and she's quite a young age manager.
Yeah.
Very switched on.
Yeah.
But how did you go about, I guess, selecting the right person?
Yeah.
And did you have to educate her or train her in ways to be ready?
So, I would say the salon is only 4 years young, and the first year and a half, I didn't want a manager. I was just like, I'm here on the floor full time. I'm here. I can visually see everything. I am here. Why pay another person to do my job when I'm there full time? When I actually fell pregnant, I appointed another girl manager. Her name's Georgia, and she's currently now got her own little place down in Manjimup. And when I fell pregnant, I actually suffered hyperemesis gravitarum, what Princess Kate has. So I would physically vomit about 11 times a day.
Whoa.
Unfortunately, the girls really saw the bad end. I was over clients, under clients. I would run to the bathroom. I couldn't drive without having a bucket in the car, spare change of clothes, you name it. I was really bad.
Wow.
So I couldn't function. My brain was just like scrambled eggs. It was just mush. So my Georgia at that time, she literally had to reschedule one client 3 times. And she's like, Rose, what do I do? Where she actually had to come to me when I was only 5 months pregnant. And she goes, tell me if I'm crossing the line, but I think we need to pull you off the floor, because I physically couldn't function. I was like literally malnourished. I lost 10 kilos 5 months pregnant because I just couldn't keep anything down. So Georgia went through, she got married. So Georgia got married the week that I actually had William. So we knew that she was moving down south, and that's where I did want someone else to move up. And we sort of knew straight away when I sort of had the discussion with both Georgia and Natasha before I even brought both of them into the manager role. I sort of said, hey, both of you guys have the potential, have what I'm looking for. Out of you two, who do you feel is ready? And they were really there was no hostility. It was just sort of like, Natasha's like, listen, I've got a few things going on right now. I think Georgia, but then we sort of knew Georgia had another future going down to the country. So it was sort of a really good time to get sort of Tash molded to be ready for the manager. So when it came time, poor thing, she literally copped it. She sort of, when she was manager, I was not on the floor at all. I was literally giving birth to a baby, and Georgia was getting married. So she's done an absolute amazing job learning, pretty much picking up the pieces along the way, and just sort of around already, our communication from day dot has been spot on. If she needs to call me 3 times a day, I'm more than happy to talk to her. And that's literally what we've just done, mentoring her along the way. I've worked with her in the past. She knows my personality. I don't like hierarchy. I don't sort of feel a manager needs to be bossy. So as long as she deals with, in a manner that I sort of like, and we already know each other. So Natasha, there's a story here. Natasha's mum, I worked with also in the past. She's a hairdresser. Gina, her name is, worked with my grandfather. So it's actually
That's crazy.
I know. So it's sort of the families know each other. The industry is just sort of meant to happen. My grandfather worked with her mum. I've worked with her mum. I've worked with her. So it just sort of wasn't a no-brainer. She's doing an amazing job. She's very hard on herself sometimes, but I think we all are. We all want to better ourselves and are we doing the right thing? But she's doing an amazing job.
I think that's a sign of someone who's gone places. If you are, obviously you can take it too far, but if you tend to be hard on yourself, I guess everyone is their own worst critic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what were some of the things that you did to get Natasha ready?
Literally just talking. Honestly, just talking. I have, Bryce is very much a numbers person, so I can't just fling numbers. It's literally writing down grids and breaking it down to, for example, this is how much I want the salon to make every week. So then by this month it's this, and then breaking it down per day, and then breaking it down, this is how many clients per day. Breaking it down to be equivalent 6 haircuts or 3 colours at these prices. It's just sort of simple math, making it a little bit more simplified. So it's just sort of like, rather than just bringing out numbers, it's breaking everything down and be like, this is what I want to achieve. Let's talk about strategies on how to achieve them, whether if it's, do we need to put a price increase up? Do we need to incentivize the staff to upsell? It's literally just communication like that. Yeah.
So I guess, with what I do, like when I'm writing down goals, I will do exactly the same process you've done for working out how much you need to earn each day, and then breaking it down into the colours and the cuts.
Yeah.
Do you have goals that you've actually set out for your business?
Yeah. So like our target for the week, and like, I mean, you might have a bad day here, so try and make up for it with the client that you have in the next day. I sort of look, especially say with this pandemic and like the COVID over our head, I sort of think about like $1 is $1 at the end of the day. Having no one in the chair to having someone in the chair, even if it's just a $12 fringe trim, it's fine. Like, try and think positive, and then just try and like be smarter, not harder, because you don't want to say do a 12-hour day and be absolutely wiped, where it's just like, okay, well, you just shot yourself in the foot, because that client actually probably really wanted half a head of foils, but you talked her out of it. So it's just sort of smarter, not harder, and not being pushy.
And how do you feel you've been affected by the whole COVID?
Yeah, I mean, we actually stayed open through the first lockdown. That was right when he wanted just 30-minute haircuts. And I know some salons chose to close then, but I wasn't pregnant and I felt comfortable working along with Natasha and Georgia. There was the 3 of us that continued working on. And I just homeschooled the apprentices. To have less people in the salon, I homeschooled the apprentices and just did by appointment. So we stayed open because it wasn't mandatory to close for hair salons. With the second lockdown, JobKeeper definitely did help us. I did everything correctly, had got advice from our accountant on how to like go forward, and we did get all the support with JobKeeper. And wherever we could do anything, like I was mixing up like colours for clients to actually like drive past, and I would hand colour through the car window with instructions on this is how to apply it, this is how to remove it, and I would just charge per gram of the colour, and then like how's the colour at home, but I would only do that to clients that were already existing to the business. And then I would also do like product drop-offs. So, pay by BSB and account number, like direct debit. And I'll like, if it's a 10-minute sort of drive around the salon, I'll go and like do little shampoo, conditioner drop-offs. It's literally just like, we are a small business and I want future for the business. So what do I have to do to keep this going so I don't have to close my doors? I'm lucky, like the staff are really on board as well. So yeah, I'm just very lucky and grateful with the team. They sort of didn't really give me much problem.
And who was the creative brain around all those ideas?
I don't know if I was. I'm not sure. I think maybe me. I don't know. I'm not going to take everything, but yeah, I would probably say like I can be up at 2 a.m., 4 a.m, like just writing ideas and messages on my phone. Like, I'll literally spring out of bed, stay up 2 hours just to get like, I'll call it my brain fart out of my head, and I just, everything like on my phone in my notes. And then I'm like, okay, let me wake up tomorrow and be like, what did I write? That I do that a lot. I sometimes don't sleep very well, so I write just like ideas, and sometimes half the thing doesn't even make sense. Otherwise I do probably get a crazy grand idea like, oh, let's just let the clients colour their own head. But then, making restrictions around it, T's and C's, let that be clear. Yeah.
Yeah, I must admit, like when I did night shift in the past, I'd get a lot of very creative ideas, from around midnight onwards.
Yeah.
So what do we got here? How have you found returning back to work?
I love it. You know what? I definitely missed it. I think because I came off the floor in the 5 month, like really early, I had this guilt over me. So then I actually sort of went back to work 6 weeks after, just sort of here and there. Like one of the girls had gastro and I was like, don't cancel the clients, I'll come in, you know, as long as I have the babysitter, because I'm still very like, I hate leaving my baby, but you got to do what you got to do. And I really enjoy going to work, like going to the salon. I don't want to say work because I don't feel like it is, but it is. Like you're going to the salon and then going home, and I actually feel like I appreciate him more because I still feel like I am a human being. Because being a mother, oh my gosh, it wipes you. It absolutely like you think owning a business hurts your head. Wait, like having a baby that gives you broken sleep and like, oh my God, yeah, it's crazy. I actually, and to go to the toilet at work and not having like the door sprung open, it's just sort of little things like that. I'm like, yeah, this is good.
It is a very crazy experience to have a child. I mean, obviously I'm speaking as a father, but to have something demand so much energy of you.
Yeah.
But then also to have an unlimited amount of love for that being, like it's just mind blowing. Yeah. And then you go to those extremes where you just become a little bit haywire, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely had that this week. I like absolutely lost it on Monday. But then lucky for me, I do have that family support, and the salon's closed. So when the salon's closed, it does have less stress on me because I guess I can be on call anytime for any question. But yeah, on Monday, I was like, he woke up at 6 o'clock, didn't have his morning sleep. So I put him in the car at 10:30, went to my grandma's, and he's still awake. And I'm like, he's not going to sleep. Why is he not going to sleep? And he was so exhausting. And he was still up at 1 o'clock. And I'm like, oh my gosh, go to sleep already. I'm tired. Like, so I literally went, got really grumpy, tired, hangry, you name it. And I literally just went in the car and I was like, I'm going home, and I put him in bed with me, and we had like an hour and a half sleep in the middle of the day, so like a siesta. And hey, if that's what you need to do, that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
So it happens.
So for, someone who might be watching who, who's in business, they're a mother, they're, I don't want to use the word struggling, but they're finding a lot of challenges with juggling business and the personal life of being a mum, and then dealing with a husband as well.
Yes, another child.
Another child. What advice would you give to someone who was in that position?
Hang in there. Don't be so hard on yourself. If I I'm speaking back to myself because I'm so hard on myself, and we really get in our head. And the last thing we want to do is feel like we're a failure. Just remember that you're doing the best that you can. You're a great mum. The girls will tell you if you're unhappy. You're doing the best that you can be, and just don't get in your head about it. I'm telling myself that as well as everyone, all the women out there, because we are so hard on ourselves, and it is really hard. And I'm just like, parenting is really difficult. Having a business is really difficult, but you are rewarded by the love that you have for your child. And then, just the family that the salon can, a business can bring as well. They're people, they're your army. So use it. Don't be scared to ask for help.
I would also add to watch a few Blueies.
I love Bluey. Yeah, the fairy tale episode is the best. It's the 80s, man.
Honestly, I've got so many life lessons out of that series. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So when you were talking just then, it made me reflect to the episode where the mother, I can't remember her name, Chili, where she's being hard on herself, and then her friend who's also a mother who seems like the perfect mum, but she's unaware that she's actually got like another 7 kids or pups.
Yeah.
And then she's like, don't be so hard on yourself. Like, I've been through this so many times.
Yeah.
Like, you're doing a great job.
That's called Baby. That's the one where they're walking. And the last episode where he's walking towards the mum in the kitchen. Oh my God, I cried in that episode.
Yeah.
Baby Lane, baby something.
Baby Race.
Baby Race.
Yeah.
Yeah. Baby Race, Grandmas, and Fairy Tale are like our all-time. We like literally show everyone.
I don't know who enjoys it more. Is it like the parents or the kids?
Oh, Bryce and I will literally watch it without William. So yeah.
Is there anything else that you like? Are you a reader, or do you watch YouTube videos? Do you listen to podcasts?
I'm just a flicker. Sometimes like I feel like I don't have time for my phone anymore. Because I'm literally always either in the kitchen cooking, doing the dishes, or playing with William, or doing payroll, so I'm not much of a reader, never really have been. I'm very much like a music person, so I don't really like the house to be quiet. I have to have sort of music in the background.
And what kind of music's that?
It could be anything, 80s is really good. I'm a 90s baby, but I can literally listen to anything. Throw in some AC/DC, throw in some Wiggles, you name it, anything.
I was good with the AC/DC, I'm not so sure about the Wiggles. So, do you feel like you need to be great technically in your trade in order to run a business, a good business?
I think you have to have understanding. Do you mean sort of do you need to be a good hairdresser to run a business? Is it?
Yeah, so if someone was competent or slightly above competent, and they wanted to run a business, but they're questioning themselves because maybe they're not, they don't have awards for cutting hair.
You know what? It's at the end of the day, when you run a business, you attract the clientele that you want to do. So. I'm looking for, say, a staff member at the moment. I've been doing heaps of interviews, and a lot of hairdressers are not taught how to cut short hair anymore, or men's anymore. So, a lot of long balayage, foils is more what a lot of hairdressers are trained to do. And so, if you want to open a business and you're confident in those, then just open and be like a blonde specialist salon. And you will attract that clientele. Don't put men's on there. Don't offer short haircuts. And then when you have a business, try and upskill yourself. Do side little programs to have that underneath your belt, and then slowly introduce it. So at least there's growth within the business. But don't stop doing it if you're not sure just about one or two things. Myself, I would say I'm not confident in that. I'm not confident in that. But then I have another staff member that is. I'll be like, all right, well, I'm going to try and guide you, but I'm also going to watch because I know I'm going to learn from you. And it's literally I'm not perfect in everything in hairdressing, and I know that. I'm not the best, men's cutter.
I actually thought you did really well.
So.
Yeah.
But Tash has done her barbering, so I am really good with my short back and sides. But hey, if you want to do a skin fade, I will be honest, I'm not really good with my skin fades. Go and see another stylist for that. But hey, I know how to do a men's. I've been cutting men's for 16 years. But yeah, there's so many upskill that you can do.
Yeah, I have noticed with the way that you've got your system set up when you make a booking.
Yeah.
If you want a fade, then you can only get certain people who.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if one of the girls can't braid, I will not open braiding in that column, because then it's just opening up for complaints. Where it's just sort of well, that girl can maybe upskill and in her downtime or in our downtime, hey, can you chuck and learn how to do a braid? And in the meantime, actually put the client in with someone that can braid. Then it's sort of still you're not absolutely saying, no, you can't grow, you can't have growth within my business. It's, well, let's put it in with someone that can do it and do it competently. But hey, can you learn to do it? That's with everything.
Is there someone who's shown you how to run your training program? Because even though it's probably not, it doesn't sound like an official program, but it does sound like a good, well-structured training program.
Honestly, I feel like I'm really fluffy sometimes. If you ask the girls, they're like, can you just make up your mind already? Like, it sounds like it, and I try to keep it like structured. But yeah, I would say in business, there's things changing all the time. Like even like styles are changing all the time. I had someone ring like a couple of weeks ago, and I mean, being maybe off on maternity leave, I was like, is this a new style? Someone asked for like a wolf cut. And I'm like, what on earth is a wolf cut? And I literally was like, girls, like, what is a wolf cut? I have no idea what this is. And it's like a shaggy mullet. I'm like, okay, why can't they just call it a shaggy mullet? So it's just sort of like, yeah, like, I mean, even I'm still learning these days. Like, so yeah, like, I'm learning from them, they can still learn from me, but then when it comes to structure, it's changing all the time. I feel like if you stay still and you're stagnant, there's no growth, because business is always moving, trends are always moving, colours, position, like everything. So it's sort of never stopping. So I'm trying to move along with it, and sometimes it moves pretty fast. And the girls just get headaches, but I'm like, it's okay, hang in there.
What would you say is the hardest thing about being in business?
Oh, the girl's going to hate me for this, but I would say like managing staff. That's definitely, like, I'm very grateful. My team is amazing at the moment, but I would say like staff in the past, it can be very difficult finding the right teams that don't, it's just you're working in a room like, with all women, and like, yeah, it can be hormonal, and yeah, I would say definitely managing staff, managing clients. I don't know, like there's a lot pros, cons, yeah.
And what would you say is the best part about being a business owner?
Choosing my own hours, especially being a family person as well, finding that balance. When I was sick, being pregnant, I think it was just sort of a blessing, because I don't need to ask for permission to have time off. I think for me, that's where my perks are at the moment, is just sort of like being able to come and go from the salon and not having to really ask anybody. I would say that's where it's at for me, that flexibility with choosing being a business mum.
And would you say that's changed since becoming a mum?
Yeah, definitely. I used to only like business all the time, and like now when your priorities shift, it's finding that balance. And I feel guilty, like, because I always be like, am I favoring one over the other? Because sometimes I run out of the house just to go to the salon, but then at the same time I'm like, I run out of the salon to go home to William. So it's just sort of finding that balance between the both. And
if you found yourself including William into the salon?
Yeah. I mean, I don't bring him in that much, but like when I'm not on the floor and I have to say go in to drop something off or see the girls, or even just get my hair done, sometimes I will bring him in. And like I literally, like, William will grow up with them being almost his auntie. Like I'll be like, go to Auntie Tash, go to Auntie Christine, like, and they have so much fun with him, and it almost just sort of brings like another aspect to their work day. It sort of breaks it up from, oh, we're having fun with the child, so sometimes going to the salon for them might feel like same thing day in, day out, and just 20 minutes with a crazy little boy crawling around you, eating hair, like it just sort of changes it up a little bit. I think even for the girls, they do enjoy cuddling him. I literally palm him off when I'm there. I don't even see him. Who wants this child? Yeah.
So I know we've touched on why you went into business. Sorry.
Yeah.
But can you explain the process that you went through when you were buying the business?
This is crazy. Okay. It was literally probably, say, 6 weeks after Nonno passing away. I'm at home. I'm in Sydney. Little apartment, shoebox. And I don't know, like I would say where I worked in Sydney, it was like 5-star luxury salon, absolutely beautiful. I think, I don't want to say anything bad, they might listen to this, so I don't want to say anything bad, and I learned a lot and I grew as a hairdresser a lot and coming back. So I actually Googled on Gumtree, salons for sale, and this salon came up for sale in Inglewood. And I'm like, oh, I know that suburb. I used to go to the Inglewood markets. It literally started like that. And then I just messaged the girl casually and go, hi, I'm like Rose, hairdresser from Sydney, and I'm a Perth girl wanting to come back home. I'm really interested in your space. Can I please find out a little bit more? And then, back and forward, this would have been October. So I told my mum and my sister who were here in Perth, they did a drive-by. And then in November, my mum actually went in for her hair because she had a wedding. So she went and got a blow dry. And then mum said, it was a beautiful space, this was nice. And she goes, yeah, like it looked, to her, from their aesthetics, it looked really good. So then I'm like, in December, Bryce was coming back to Perth. I'll be able to look at the books. So he went in, had a meeting with the previous owner, had a look at the books, and he seemed to like what he saw. And we went and sort of spoke to the accountant. And then in January, which was Australia Day, I came to Perth and then had a look at the salon. And I went in with my dad. So he's looking more about building structural and things like that, where I'm just looking about the space, basins and things. And I go, the lights, I'm already like looking about the lights need to be done, this needs to be done, And then sort of like, she pretty much just said, I've got 2 other people interested. It was pretty much like a fixed price. This is the asking price. So we had gone to the bank and we said, this is what, just to make sure we're able to get it. And then in February, I get this email saying, hey, like, I choose you, pretty much. If you want the salon, I choose you. So I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. This is really exciting. And so we had to start thinking of names. So I'm like literally writing a list of names. Like, I knew I wanted my name in it. And I know it's like weird, selfish or something. But I'm like, no, like I just somehow want my name in it. And I was like, Rose's Hair Parlour, Rose & Co. Anyway, on my walk to work one morning in Sydney, I walked past, like there's a school, and then there's a place called the Wild Trout. Now, when you think of the Wild Trout, you think of like a fish and chip shop. It was a jewelry shop. And I remember thinking to myself, the Wild Trout, what a stupid name. What a stupid name for a jewelry shop. I go, I think I can do one better. Wild Rose. Anyway, I spoke to Bryce and he's like, write it down. We're seeing the accountant this week, so we need to put a name down for the business. Write it down. If you like it tomorrow, go with it. And I sort of feel like, and I literally just like the wild Rose. Is it much better than the Wild Trout, Wild Rose? And I sort of was like, it's actually very fitting. But like, go on a girls' night out with me. Yeah, can be a bit loose. But also like products, wildly harvested products. And I'm like, oh my God, it's meant to be. Like, it just sort of fit. And then, so then February, we literally like signed up the business account and went through all the paperwork, and then we literally got the keys for the business, or the approval of the business, 19th of March 2018, and so we're actually turning 4 years old.
Oh, cool.
In 2 weeks' time, so the 19th of March, and I was still actually in Sydney, and then March, I didn't come back to Perth until late April. So the salon, I just said, don't change anything, continue, because the salon was still working as normal. And then slowly I would like do business cards and things. And then I didn't come back till late April, because another crazy thing is that same week we bought a house without looking at it. So we made an offer on a house, and I know like Bryce has actually really got his head screwed on. So what I do to him, poor thing, like I feel bad because I'm like, let's just make an offer on this house without even looking at it. And then when I got to Perth in April, I literally got the keys to this house that I've never seen before and walked and got the handover without even seeing this house. It seemed to work. I feel like you can make anything home when, you can make anything home. Home is where the heart is. And then I started taking on clients May. So there was a lot happening because I'm literally moving back. I moved back without Bryce. So I'm moving back in with my parents while I'm renovating the house and then taking on clients all at the same time. So I feel like I can't do anything slow. I feel like it's all or nothing, like an Energizer bunny. And there was a lot to take in there, wasn't there?
Yeah. So when you're working the business, are you working full-time hours?
Back then, yes. Not now.
No.
Now
yeah.
I'm mum hours,
Yeah.
like part-time. Back then I was doing anything it took. Like, I worked so hard for so many other people. I was like, to make this work, I need to work hard myself. I was really, really business focused. I didn't have to be a wife. My husband wasn't here. My husband was in Sydney. And he's working hard to pay for everything that I'm doing in the house, to renovate it, lights, walls, carpet, everything. So you keep working hard to pay the trades. I'll work the business to have a business. So I literally was like, I didn't have to go home and cook dinner for it to be wifey. I was literally like all in, get there really early, get there late, like stay there late. If a client wanted to come in at 6 on like a random day that wasn't salon hours, sometimes I'll just do it. But then as time went on, I go, okay, this is no work-life balance. It started actually then coming into like, I was starting at 7 o'clock on a Saturday and sometimes finishing 9:30 on a Saturday.
Wow.
I had one of my friends literally on her birthday come into the salon on the Saturday just to help me with clients, just because like, something maybe happens, and I just was like, it's a business, I can't say no to a client, and you really sort of then create a bond with those clients that you do bend over backwards for. But yeah, now I've sort of learnt to find a bit more balance, and I don't really do that, and I try and get the girls to learn. I did that in the beginning, so probably the first year, maybe because I could, but yeah, now I'm like, family is definitely important.
Would you say that because you said that you're quite all or nothing kind of person?
Yeah.
Is that a typical thing for you to do? Like, you sort of just make a decision and then action?
Yeah, most of the time I don't even think about it. Like, I just do it and then think about the consequences after. Like, the way I holiday the same. I go to New Zealand. All right, let me skydive. I don't know, what did I do? Skydive, stunt plane, quad bike, like all in one day. Oh my God, I was so sick. I didn't. Like, I quad biked for 3 hours in the morning, then did a 15,500, I don't know, it was a 70-second free fall of skydive, hit the floor, went back next door to the paddock next door, got in a stunt plane and did a stunt plane. And then that night I had like a huge plate of like barbecue ribs. And then I was like wiped. But then that's like all or nothing. It's like either I don't do anything adrenaline or everything. And that's, I think, with business as well.
Do you think that has helped you to be as successful as you are within your business? So you're not over-analysing?
Yeah, you know what? It has definitely, it has shot me in the foot a few times in the past. I will say that. Maybe because I haven't really thought about what it could do, or I haven't thought about the process. But at the same time, my accountant would actually say that that's probably benefited us. Where Bryce will probably take maybe a couple of weeks or a couple of months on thinking on a project, for example, where I'll be like, nah, I want this done. If I want it, I wanted it yesterday. So I've got to do it right now, So that's probably where then I we that's where I guess our partnership blends, because he will process it, but then maybe I've already done it, but then like he knows how to fix it because he's already thought about like everything.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It's like, fix my problem because I didn't think about it.
Classic.
Yeah.
What was going with that? So what, if you were to think about like what you went through, what would you recommend someone doing, say, whether it be like 1, 2 or 3 steps prior to going in and starting a business?
Yeah, well, first of all, 2 things is, are you buying a pre-existing business or are you starting from scratch? If you're buying a pre-existing business, you've got to find out what clientele they have. The asking price is, what are you getting for that price? A lot of clients, it's called something, I can't remember on the top of my head, like if the staff staying, there's a lot of questions.
Talk about the goodwill?
Yes, yeah, goodwill, yeah, that's it. The client, like, because when you're buying a pre-existing salon, is who's staying? Those staff are staying? Is that business owner staying? Because if those stylists go and they're not selling clients, well, then you've got no clients because those clients are going to follow those stylists. Well, that's also something to look at. And then, like, what is your point of difference to keep them? And then also, I sort of found it easier-ish to take over a pre-existing salon. But at the same time, I sort of think if you're creating something from fresh and from new, everything is you and yours, where I've had to sort of change and manipulate that. And when pre-existing clients, it can be difficult because they just want everything the same. Where then if you're going and looking at, say, a new space, a fresh new look, everything's your price list, well, then just make sure that you're like being sure on this is, on everything. This is it. What are you going to do to then get those clients and retain those clients? Because a lot of people do look for customer service now, and I feel like customer service is definitely lacking. I don't know why, but yeah, like no one has that polite. It's like walking down in the street saying good morning. Like no one does that anymore, and it's just sort of like, why? And it's the same in the salon. Like people, we're going into your personal space, so it's just I'm getting off guard now. But like,
go for it, you're on.
Yeah, it's just sort of like, yeah, when you're starting off, really reflect on what do you want to get out of the business, what do you want to get your message across, and then like going through what you're hoping for and then how to achieve it.
Would you say, having being that you've got like family members that are mentors, that they're like critical for success?
I mean, I think with family, no one wants to see anyone fail.
And would you say that you get a lot of free advice?
Oh, of course. And some people are just like, oh, honestly, especially I think...
Now that I think about it, I actually did the same.
No, I think I've definitely grown. I'm going to say I've grown as a person and as a business owner. Because when 4 years ago, like I would say a young business owner. I was very, vulnerable. I was sort of like calling on people to be like, what should I do in this situation? So at the end of the day, it wasn't my call, it was someone else's call. Where I've really learned in time, I'll be like, oh, well, I don't want to deal with it in that way. I have my own way, which might actually be more respectful, because that's just what my nature is. So it's just more like, well, and this is where so many people, have opinions, and it's just sort of like, well, I'm not in business with you. Like, yes, I'll listen to you, but it's almost like, like I'm going to do it my way. Like sometimes it's like being a mum. Everyone has like, oh, you should swaddle your baby like this. Whereas just like, yeah, your child should have breast milk up until 1. Like, hey, if he doesn't latch, like, don't get upset with me. It's exactly like parenting.
Yeah.
Business is like parenting. You do what is best for you, what you feel is comfortable. Yeah. I'm like, ah.
What skills would you say would be the most important in business?
I'm going to share a quote. Clients don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I might leave it there.
That's very well said.
Yeah.
Um,
I think caring, that's the best. That quote I learned at hairdressing school, and 16 years ago, and I won't forget it, because anyone can do hairdressing, but hairdressing, like sharing your knowledge or your passion, or even just like coming in and having a cool chit chat like us. Like, I cut your hair, never met you before. We didn't talk about the weather. What did we talk about? I don't like everything.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of like you're creating in that instant bond with somebody. I think that's what business at the end of the day, whether you're meeting another business owner, is networking. No one's going to want to know like, oh, everyone's going to know like, oh, that person's a troll, or that person's like, don't go and meet her because she's only going to poach your own stylist. It's not like that. Mine's more about like, well, if you have something to share, how about you educate and share your knowledge so everyone grows together, not to be competitive, but to see everyone do well.
So you actually just touched on something there that I guess it's taken me a long time to learn. I am a naturally very, very competitive person, and I've had to like just learn that, you know, through massive errors, that's just not the right way to be. And so you would agree that, you know, if you're constantly concerned about what someone else might be thinking or doing, and you're holding back the knowledge that you have, or the questions, or whatever it might be, essentially you're only limiting yourself.
Yeah. Like when you said that, like I just came to me is I went into business thinking with the quote of the client is always right. And honestly, like just 2 weeks ago, I had to kick someone out of the salon. Like, I still sometimes believe the client is always right, but sometimes the client is wrong. And to just sort of stick your ground. And if you feel, because like I said, they're coming into your home. If you don't feel respected or they're not listening to you, then, you know, why provide that service that you're giving everything when a client's just rude and a bit toxic? So I actually had to just sort of had to share that, is still stay true to yourself. At the end of the day, if you feel uncomfortable, then don't do it. And it's actually probably taken me a very, very long time, probably to be even a mum, to realize that. Because I would be like, oh, this client's not very nice, but let me just like kiss her, like, you know, like smother her with kindness, where I'm like, no, you know, like, no. And I was not always like that. So yeah, I think also being a mum has toughened me up a little bit.
And in regards to that, like, I was going to go with that. So was that one of the worst parts of your day prior to becoming a mother? And now that you've become a mother, does it affect you the way that it used to?
Oh, it still does. I don't know, 'cause I'm such a people person. So when I feel like I can't help that person, because they might be having a bad day, but then just say taking it out on the hairdresser, we don't know, because we didn't give them the opportunity. And I go home and it does eat on me. But then that's where I like, you know, to Bryce, this happened today and I did this is how I dealt with it. But now I'm like, oh no, what if she actually had like an underlining problem? Like it's too late, because I did and said what I did, still very professionally, mind you. I would never like go and like blast a client, not really the way I work. I blast my husband instead. But yeah, like it's just sort of, I'll go home and then reflect on, did I deal with that in the best way possible? And yeah, I'm just like, oh, if I see that lady again, like you know, was she just going through a bad day, or did she have like an underlying issue that I didn't know about? But yeah, so it does eat me up. But I think that's just, you know, who you are as a person. Where some people will be like, oh nah, put that behind you, move on. That's just a facade. I don't believe in that. I think it does eat on you a little bit. Yeah.
And so again, we did touch on this, but what specifically do you feel, you know, what would be like your goals for, say, you know, next 12 months? I know you're not big on, you know, the 2 to 5 years.
Oh no, I still have like hopes and dreams. My thing next, I was like, probably business, you think?
Yes.
Yeah. I was like, another family? I don't know, like, with business. Well, we have been in this Inglewood premise for now 4 years, and just say when I first brought the salon, there was only 3 seniors, and now there's like, I've had 3 apprentices in that time, literally like an apprentice every year, and we are like growing, and we are getting really busy. And my next thing is to actually, our husband, like Bryce and I, we want to open. We hope one day, hopefully soon-ish, we want to like buy our own commercial property, so we're not renting from someone. And this is where Bryce thinks, because he's like, we're paying a lot for rent, and that money, you know, we don't see. So commercial property to relocate to a bigger space. That at the moment, you know, like where we're hoping for in our targets that's what we're leading for. So as for like bigger picture, it is like commercial property, new bigger space for the salon to grow with maybe a larger team. And maybe small little goals is literally just like, I honestly, the next 3 to 6 months is just trying to, you know, stay as per normal, because I think definitely with the pandemic, Omicron is over our head. So I sort of think like keeping the girls feeling safe and secure wherever possible is probably my thing for the next 3 to 6 months now, and just sort of keeping as neutral and less change as possible. Because as for growth, I think it might, I don't know, I'm predicting it to drop and dip a little bit. But yeah, so bigger picture, but then how to get there. Yeah.
And obviously you don't have to like divulge full details, but just to give people an idea of like what a premises is leased for.
Yeah.
Because I know I've, you know, had businesses in the past where, you know, your lease takes up a large portion of your earnings.
Yeah. So I was actually just a couple of weeks ago sitting around with other business owners, and my say lease is right smack bang with some of them. So someone that I know that has just sort of a space not connected to like a building or a shopping centre or anything like that, they're say about just $400 a week, right? And then I know another one that's sort of connected to like a little shopping centre / arcade. They were, I think she said about $2,000 a week, where we're like just nearly hitting, and we're in a building on a main street, but not with much walking traffic, and we're just under $1,000 a week. So it is really hefty, and that's just literally rents. That's not like bills. You know, when you think about electricity, water, rates, like we still do all that. It's like a house. So, and then there's wages, and then stock. There's a water. It all adds up. But yeah, so it's quite a lot when you think you're renting. You know, you rent a house for say $400 a week as a family of 4, for example. Or you have this business which is a smaller space for like $1,000 a week. It's like, how does that work out, you know?
So is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience? Sort of getting pretty close to time. Yes, is there anything else you'd like to share? Any exciting news coming up?
Nothing really exciting, to be honest. I'm all about just trying to find a bit more balance at the moment, because I am being that crazy business owner slash mum that I have been like losing my shit a little bit lately. Like, so I'm like, I'm a normal person and it's okay to be crazy. And that's just more like any mum that is feeling deflated, maybe talk to somebody or like write it down and burn it, you know, put it in the universe. I just sort of think like, I don't know, today's like Be Kind National Be Kind Day. And I'm just sort of, I don't know, I feel sort of like self-care at the moment is like what I want to aim for myself in, say, the next month, maybe. Like, but yeah, so it's just sort of like, I don't know, take care of yourself, and yeah, be kind with people around you.
And where can everyone find you?
You'll be able to find me at Shop 4, 882 Beaufort Street. Otherwise, our socials are at wildrosehair_, and that's our Instagram. But yeah.
Well, Rose, thank you very much for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me.
And yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed. Yeah, thanks again very much. And we'll be in touch soon. And I hope you enjoyed.
Thank you for listening to me.
Cheers. Take care.